Keeping the momentum page. Good morning to you. Okay, here we go. Wonderful. Grateful for another day in the land of the living. Grateful for the many of you that counted not robbery to join me this morning. I see the many of you coming on. Good morning to you. Good morning to you, and welcome to the Aroma of Prayer. Good morning, and welcome to the Aroma of Prayer. Okay, before we get started, I just want to go over a couple of different things. Again, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, the Aroma Prayer, 6:30 a.m. You can catch it on my prayer and consecration page via Facebook Live. You can tune in via a conference call line. You can also tune in via True Life Radio's Facebook Live. You can also tune in via TrueLifeRadio.net. So that's the internet. You can put in TrueLifeRadio.net and listen. And you can select listen live. You can listen that way. So there's many different platforms that you have that you can come on and listen to the Aroma of Prayer. And we're just so grateful for the opportunity. Also to tomorrow, join me at 7 a.m. 7 a.m. as I come together for the keeping the momentum of prayer, and that's 1 hour of power. And there you can join me on True Life Radio. .net, TrueLifeRadio.net, and True Life Radio Facebook Live. You can join me there, and we'll have the opportunity of coming together for that 1 hour of power. And tomorrow, 10 a.m., join me at the Power Gathering, 1540 Hempstead Turnpike in Elmont, New York. It's just a weekly session. We come together of teaching, empowerment, and building up. Come get powered up that you may go forth and fulfill your assignments and get that little additive for many of you as you continue to attend your churches. So come join me on Saturday, 10 a.m., 10 to 12, Power Gathering, 1540 Hempstead Turnpike in Elmont, New York. And then tomorrow night, join me for our pre-summit service. Our pre-summit service is going to be held at the Friendly Church Apostolic, the Friendly Apostolic Church. That's 115-03 Sutton Boulevard in Jamaica, Queens. And we're excited about what God is doing in this hour and doing in this time. We know that eyes have not seen, nor ear heard, neither have entered into the heart of man the things that God hasn't prepared for those who love him. And we're just excited about what the Spirit of the Lord is doing in this time and what the Spirit of the Lord is doing in this hour. And we're just so grateful. So as we come on, I want you to come open and come excited about what the Spirit of the Lord is going to do. He just told me to bring the assembly together. So we believe in God for impartation. We just believe in God for deliverance. We just believe in God for healing. We just believe in God for whatever he desires to do. So the doors open at 5 p.m. The doors open at 5 p.m. And we will start service will start immediately at 6 p.m. 6 p.m. And every year I always have like a service before the Intercessory Prayer Summit. You can come and be a part. You can also register for the Intercessory Prayer Summit and learn some different things that's going to be happening and some of our speakers and other different things that's going to be going on at that particular time. So we're just excited about what God is doing in this hour and in this time. So this morning I wanted to share about Divine Training Program. Many of you have seen the topic already. Those of you that are on the Facebook Live, on conference call, you haven't. But this morning I want to talk about the Divine Training Program. Again, I've been talking about preparation. This has been a season of prep. And when we're in a divine training program, actually, I was going to call this particular topic prep test. But I'm going to call it divine training, the divine training program. And this is our place of testing and preparation. When God places you, and sometimes you don't sign up. Sometimes we sign up for training, or we sign up for classes, or we sign up for things. But uh, with the divine training program, you don't sign up. You are enlisted. When you are part of the divine training program, one day you wake up and you realize that your name is on the roster and you have to show up for class. Yeah. And sometimes it's not always the class that we like. We know I remember when I was in college, we had the mandatory classes and we had the elective classes. And so the mandatory classes, at times, depending on what your major is, was very challenging and, will keep you on your toes. And, I was a math person. Math was my strongest point. So the math classes, I love math and science. I was a math and science person. No, I love math and science. So I was a math and science person. So math was my thing, and I would and I would have the opportunity to take classes. I love math. I love science. And for other people, they would loathe math and loathe science. I remember taking science. I took all the biology classes. I took all the chemistry tag classes. I was taking physics classes because I love science. Earth science. I guess I had that side of the brain, and it worked for me. And in school, I was, I guess you wouldn't call me a nerd. I was a nerd in school, but whatever. But anyway, I just enjoyed it, and so those were challenging for me. So sometimes those classes were your mandatory classes, but sometimes I had to take electives. So sometimes I would take a science class for elective, and people would look at me like, "Why are you taking a science class for elective? You need to take like gym or music or art or something simple that you could just get an easy credit for, And after a while, I did. I just started taking easy classes and just kind of breeze through it. But I said, since I had the opportunity, I would take something that I enjoyed. But see, there's times not times, is when you are in the divine training program, that program is established and set up just for you, because God knows exactly what you need. He knows exactly what he needs to do to prepare you for your next. Yeah, the Father knows exactly what he needs to do in your life to prepare you for your next. So that's why you are placed in this season in the divine training program. Yeah, because when you pass this program, the promotion will come. And see, you cannot have a testimony without a test. You cannot go forth. The Bible says when Abram went out to fight or went out to war, the Bible said that he used what? Trained men. So we have to understand that training is very important. And that's why the training is part of your preparation. Yeah. The training is part of our preparation. So the Lord allows training to come into our lives. Why? Because he wants us to master whatever the area is that he's given us in this season. So we understand, in God's training program, we don't get promoted unless we learn the lesson. Yeah, that's why some of you are continually going around the same thing over and over again, because somehow you're missing the lesson that God has ordained for your life. And that's why there's times I believe it was either Wednesday's class or Monday's class when I think I was either Monday or Wednesday, not really sure which one it was, but I was sharing about Lord, prepare me for my next. Allow me to understand and know the lesson that I may pass it. Because there's too many times where you are taking a test, and if you don't understand the lesson while you're taking a test, you're going to continue to repeat the test until you pass it. See, with God's training program, with the divine training program, you're not going to get promoted until you learn the lesson. Some of you right now, I want you to lay your hands on yourself and say, Lord, let me learn the lesson. Let me learn the lesson so I can pass the test. Is God working on my character? Is God working on my attitude? What is God working on in me that is allowing me to be challenged in this hour? Why? Because I keep failing the test because I'm not learning the lesson. Because in everything that the Father places us through, he wants us to learn the lesson. I was up early this morning. I was up for a couple of hours this morning, just laying before the Lord and just talking to the Lord. And there was something that kind of came up in my spirit. And I know how I used to react to it. And as I was laying there and I was thinking about the situation, and I had asked the Lord, I said, God, now teach me how to react to this differently. Before, it used to really put me in a challenging emotional space. I said, God, teach me how to weather this. Teach me how to walk through this, that I may bring glory to you, and that my attitude and my character might be aligned with your word. It's not easy. It's easy to say that, but sometimes it's hard to execute it. But I have purpose in my heart. I said, Father, the Bible says I have not because I ask not. So, Father, I need help in the situation, because every time, this situation come up, I know the place that I would visit emotionally. I know the place that I would visit emotionally and mentally. And so I have to realize now, for what God has desired for my life and the things that He wants me to accomplish, I have to visit this in a whole different place. I have to deal with this in a whole different place. I have to walk through this in a whole different place, that I may be able to bring glory to you and bring honor to you, and I might mature. Because there's certain things, children, that the Lord brings us through the divine training program, because something in our character needs to mature. Something in our attitude needs to mature. Something in our perceptions need to mature. The way we handle things and handle people, it needs to mature. Because so many times we take things into our own hands, and what we do is that we make a shipwreck out of it, or we just emotionally responding to something instead of moving accordingly the way that we should. See, in 1 Corinthians 10 and 13 tells us, there have no temptations taking you but such as is common to man. But God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that ye are able, but will with the temptation also make a way to escape, that you may be able to bear it. So the Lord's not going to put something on you or allow something to happen to you for you to be destroyed. He's already given you and deposited in you what you need to walk through it. But also, too, if it gets too rough, it gets too overwhelming, the Lord makes a way of escape. It's up to us to walk in that level of obedience. It's up to us to acknowledge the Father in all our ways and allow Him to do what? Direct our path. See, understand, excuse me, understand and know that God has in His hand the thermostat, and He knows how much heat that you can take. He knows how much you can take. Oh my God, I feel so overwhelmed. Oh my God, I can't take this anymore. No, He holds the thermostat in His hand, and He knows how much that you can take. So know this, that if you're in the fire right now, if you're going through a challenging situation, know that which is down on the inside of you that has been deposited, put a demand on that which God has put down on the inside of you, that you may be able to walk through this season victorious, because that's what you want to do. You want to walk through this season victorious. See, in Proverbs chapter 17, verse 3, the Bible says, the finding pot is for silver and the furnace for gold, but the Lord trieth the heart. See, the thing about it is we have to know is that the Lord knows exactly what's down on the inside of us. It's up to, sometimes He allows us to go through these things for them to be revealed to us. For them to be revealed to us. Because when we face trials and tribulations and situations that come into our life, there's a lesson behind it. We need to learn the lesson. We need to understand, well, Father, why do you have me going through what I'm going through? Sometimes He'll tell you, and sometimes you get crickets. You be like, hello, 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 hello. Jesus, 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 Jesus. Help, 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 help. And it seems like your words are just echoing in the spirit. And it seems like there's nothing going on. It seems like there is no response. But one thing I know, and I stand strong on Romans 8 and 28, and all things are working together for the good to those that love God, to those who are called according to His purpose. That's why our prayer should constantly be, Father, let me be in your perfect will and not your permissive will. Because certain things we are going through because we went our own way, and the Lord permitted it to happen. But allow this, that even you going through it, it might delay you just a little bit, but it won't deny you from the blessing unless you've totally been off course. But the Lord will allow these things to work together for your good, to build you up and to strengthen you and to get you to where you need to go. To get you to really need to go. Understand this, that God is engineering every circumstance in our lives, and He knows how to tailor them to each of us. Right there, I am done. Right there, I am done. Right there, I am done. And let's break it down. There are certain things you can go to the store. I'm not really so much of a shopaholic. I'm not one. I used to be. I used to love to go shopping, but I'm not really much of a shopaholic. So, but there's times when I do go to the when I do go to purchase some things. Maybe I go to purchase a dress for a special event, or I'm having something, and I will get a dress or I will get an outfit, and sometimes it doesn't fit right because we all are made differently. We all are made different from head to toe. We're all made different. Our shoulders are not the same. Our waistlines are not the same. Our hips are not the same. Our legs are not the same. And the list goes on. And so there's times when I have to go and I have to get certain items tailored. Tailored to fit me, tailored to fit the way that I am built. And so when I go to get my items tailored, I get measured. She'll measure me, and sometimes she doesn't need to measure me because I go to this young lady all the time. She can see me, and all I have to do is just put on the dress. And she just starts taking the pins, and she starts moving because she knows how I like things. She knows certain things I like covered up and so forth and so on, and not too tight. And so she starts to put things together. So she makes sure that it falls nicely on me without being too revealing or too tight. If I was going to say another word, but I'm on Facebook Live. But but she makes sure that it fits me and it fits me well, that I'm able to wear it well. So after she adjusts the dress or she adjusts the outfit, then she'll fix it up for me. But then the price that has to be paid for the adjustment. There's a price that has to be paid for the adjustment. So I just don't go in there and she just does what she does, and then I go back, I go pick it up, I try it on. If it's perfectly wonderful, if it's set together, and then I'm ready to go. But see, understand this, that there's a price that has to be paid for alterations. There's a price that has to be paid for alterations. Let me say that again. There's a price that has to be paid for alterations. See, some of us are in a season of alterations. We're in a season where God is tailoring us. We're in a season where God is working some things for us. So there's a price that has to be paid. There's a price. There's a cost for the oil in your alabaster box. There's a price to be altered. Because you got to let go of some things. You got to let God work some things in you. You got to let God kill that attitude. You got to let God work on that character. You got to let God work on that disposition. You got to let God mature you. Because there's certain things that are very distasteful when you move to certain levels of ministry. Let me stop right here for a moment. There was I was someplace, and I was just observing, and the individual was doing some things, and then after a while, it wasn't funny anymore. It wasn't funny anymore, and I sat there and I looked, and I'm like, okay, that was funny. This isn't funny now. Now we're shifting from funny to immaturity, and that's when you have to realize that, whether it's on my job where somebody does something and like, that was funny, but now this is becoming distasteful. So you have to understand the line to be drawn, especially when you are in certain levels. As a manager, there are certain things that I can do and I can say, and we can have fun and we can crack jokes, but there's certain lines, even though it might be funny, I can't crack the joke because of the level that I'm at. Because if I say a joke and for somebody listening in the vicinity finds it offensive, all of a sudden I could be taken to HR because of the level that I'm at and the level that I'm supposed to carry myself in. So the Lord has to work on our levels of maturity. We have to work on our levels of maturity because sometimes being immature can cause people to not attach or latch because of the level of immaturity. Even sometimes how we handle a disagreement, or we handle. I had the other day. I had a worker. She had a customer on the phone. We have a customer service area, and she had a customer on the phone, and I'm sitting there, and all I'm hearing is elevation of the voice and the tone. so I went and I said, is everything okay? Do you need my assistance? And the person was like, I'm not dealing with her. Blah, just started going in. I said, let me take the conversation. Let me take the call. So when I got on the call, I was like, hi, I'm a manager. Can I assist you? And so when I started talking, immediately the person said, I don't want to talk to her no more. She's rude. She's nasty, so forth and so on. And they went in. So I was able to calm her down. And in the final analysis, after I finished talking to her, apologizing and everything, I was able to get what we needed from the initial call that she called the woman because she needed some documentation. And so after that, I had to talk to the individual, and I said, you know what? You have to understand there's going to be some things that's going to be challenging, but again, you have to realize that, number one, we have to work on our customer service skills, but you called for a specific thing. So now that you blowing up, she's blowing up, she wasn't going to give it to you. She wound up emailing it to me because she didn't want to email it to you because she didn't want to be bothered with you. How many of you, because of, maybe you didn't like the way a person looked at you, or you didn't like the way a person handled you, all of a sudden you now disconnected yourself from that situation, or you disconnected yourself from that whole event, didn't realize that maybe that person might be your blessing or that person might be your next. I have seen good relationships get severed in the beginning because people didn't see eye to eye. And so all of a sudden you become public enemy number one with the person that God sent in your life to be your blessing, to help you, to build you, to strengthen you. I've always realized that some God-ordained relationships sometimes start off rocky. They sometimes start off rocky because the enemy doesn't want the connection. He doesn't want the connection. So sometimes, children, you got to realize and understand this, is that sometimes when you find yourself in a situation with somebody, don't automatically write them off, because God could have sent them in your life to bless you and to help you get to your next. And the enemy drops in the middle of it to try to hinder you from making the connection, from getting the breakthrough that you need, from you getting the deliverance that you need, or just even the person speaking kind words and wisdom into your life to bless you. You never know what God has in store for you or who he has in store for you. That's why there's times God brings you through the divine training program, because he got to work on those areas in your life. I'll be honest, and I'll be just straight up, and I'll be very transparent. There was years ago, there was an individual I had heard so much about, and I was like, I don't want to be bothered with that person, because I kept hearing certain things, hearing negative things, and just the way that the persona was, it was very distasteful to me, and I'm like, and then there was a season where the connection came, and that person had what I needed to get me to my next. The person, and I had to realize, and God had to work on me. God had to work on me and humble me in some areas and say, no. You don't know who's going to be your blessing. You don't know who I'm going to use. And just because, that's why we got to be sensitive with our relationships, children. Do you hear me? Some of you have shut the door to the person that had access to your next. Sometimes we got to realize and just really be prayerful about who the people that God brings into our life to bless us. You got to learn how to weather the storms, children. You got to learn that God is engineering every circumstance in our life, and there's tailor-made. Just like I was talking about my outfit, it's tailor-made just for me. Even though somebody else, one of my cousins or my godchildren, because they come to my house and they go shopping in my closet, but they'll come and say, let me borrow something. They can try to put on, but it won't fit them the way that it fits me, because we're shaped differently. So sometimes they're like, oh, this don't fit me right. It's too small up top, and it's too big on the bottom. I'm like, yeah, because it's built for me. It's tailored for me, not for you. See, some of the training programs that God has, They're tailored just for you. So stop looking at your brother. Stop looking at your sister. Stop looking at your co-worker. Stop looking at your people in your ministry and your church and say, well, why am I going through this? And they aren't going through anything. Because what you're going through right now has been tailor-made just for you. It's been tailor-made just for you. Hear me. It's been tailor-made just for you. Yeah, it's been tailor-made just for you. And understand this, that while, and I've been teaching about the backside of the desert, and I talked about the backside of power the last two classes. Psalm 25:9 says, "The meek will he guide in judgment, and the meek will he teach his way." God is teaching us something. I want you to lay your hands on yourself and say, God, teach me your way, O Lord. Father, teach me your way, O Lord. Because while we are in the backside of the desert or in God's divine training program, God is not abandoning us. He is working out circumstances in our lives. And if we respond correctly to our situations, then God has promised to guide us, teach us, and promote us. As long as we learn the lesson. One of the things that he would definitely teach us is that our circumstances are what? Tailor-made for us. And if we do not adapt, or we do not come into attitude of anger, then God will be able to teach us his ways. Sometimes we're fighting the process that God has set for us. Stop fighting the process and allow yourself to go through God's divine training program. See, we may never know why God is doing what he's doing, but understand this, there's a lesson behind what he's doing. Lord, teach me thy ways, O Lord. Allow me to learn the lesson. Because when Moses was tending sheep in Midian, while God was working out the circumstances for what the greatest experience of the most powerful nation on earth at that time to be defeated, which was Egypt, he had to spend 40 years in God's divine training program. Moses had no idea what was happening. He didn't sign up for it. He was enlisted in the divine training program. One day he woke up and his name was on the roster. Yeah. See, this is the same situation for us. God is working out something in your life. You might not understand it. You might not know it, but know one thing, that you are a child of God, and he knows exactly what you need, when you need it, and how you need it. That's how I've been able to navigate seasons in my life, children. I was able to navigate. Let me tell you something. In the beginning, I was kicking and screaming. I was kicking and screaming and falling out and rolling on the floor and having temper tantrums in the spirit because I didn't understand why I was going through what I was going through. But I realized this, and I understand this, and I stand on what the Father constantly speaks in my life and speaks in my heart, is that he knows what he has deposited down on the inside of us. He knows us. He's Alpha and Omega. He's the beginning and the end. He is omniscient. He knows all things. We are created beings. We are fashioned by the Father. So because we've been fashioned by him, when we have been created by him, he knows what we need to prepare us for our next. He knows. And because he knows what we need to prepare us for our next, let patience have her perfect work. The Bible says he will perfect those things which concerneth us. He knows what we need to prepare us for our next. So even though times it might seem distasteful, even though times you might just feel like, why am I going through what I'm going through? He knows. He even knows the type of leader that you need in this season to strengthen you, because maybe you're thin skin and God needs to thicken your skin. Maybe, I don't know, but I know one thing. It's been tailor-made for you, and it's been tailor-made for me. Just like God has somebody out there for each and every one of you, and they've been tailor made for you, and you've been tailor made for them. Whether it's a position on your job, whether it's a ministry assignment, it's been tailor made for you because God knows what you need to allow the lesson to be learned, that you will walk in a level of promotion and walk in a level of elevation. Despise not God's divine training program. It has been tailored just for you. I want to thank you so much for joining me this morning on the Aroma Prayer. Join me tomorrow morning, 7 a.m., keeping the momentum, 10 a.m., the power gathering, and 6 o'clock p.m. 6 o'clock p.m. Join me for our pre-summit service, 115-03 Septon Boulevard in Jamaica, Queens. Friendly Apostolic Church. The pastor is Bishop Newman. Bishop Newman is the pastor. So come one, come all. We're going to have a good time in the Holy Ghost. You can come. You can register for the summit. The service is open to the public. It will not be live streamed. I know someone have asked. It will not. We will show clips, but it will not be live streamed. It will not be live streamed. So don't sit at home and be clicking on my page looking for a live stream. You'll get clips of the service, but the full service will not be live streamed. You got to be in it to win it. How's that? So I want to thank you so much for joining me this morning. Be blessed. Be encouraged. Have a blessed, a wonderful, and awesome day in Jesus' name. God bless you.